Hi, welcome to Ben and Barry on Football. My name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. My compadre here is
I'm Ben Dickerson.
if you look at the pictures behind us, that's circa 1983. That's how long we've been talking football. And this particular show is going to be the top five show, right?
That is correct.
Well, we have some things we'd like to show you. And in the top five show, what we want to make sure that we help you understand is that everything is based on the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, which I produce. So what we're going to be talking about is net points as a statistic, ranking the entire league. All the other rankings on the league, first to 32nd, are generally based on opinion, except for maybe the NFL ranking, which goes by yardage in a lot of cases. In any event, we go by net points, which are comprised of points for minus points against. And we add one other twist to it that we'll talk about in one of the other shows, but that twist is the turnover differential. So the four most important statistics as we look at them that are fundamental to what these teams have actually done to this point: net points, points for, points against, turnover differential. So that's where we'll be going. All right?
I'm all right.
You all right? You got all that?
I got all that.
Well, let's go then. Net points. This is the summary through week 16 of the 2018 season. So you will see letters and thingamabobs before these names, and they all have a meaning. As a matter of fact, you kind of understand what they mean, right?
Yeah.
Can you just give a quick rundown?
Sure, real fast. The double asterisk means that that team has clinched the division that they're in and has also clinched home field advantage.
Nice.
The letter Z is in zebra means that they clinched their division, and the letter X means they clinched a playoff spot. So, for example, the Chargers have an X. They're definitely in the playoffs, but they have not clinched their division yet, and there's still possibilities that they could do that. We've got the same thing going on with the Texans. If you look at the standings, the Texans will be shown to be in first place in their division, but they have not clinched the division championship yet, although they are locked into the playoffs.
So when you think about the net points as a measure of the relative strength or the domination ability to dominate, it's interesting because, again, this is the top five show, but because it's week 17, we're going into the last week of the season.
Right.
We wanted to show the full range of net points because it kind of makes for interesting thought. Well, let's talk about the NFC East for example.
Okay.
In a way, it's back to being the NFC least because you can win the division at a 14 ranking with 14 net points for the year so far.
Right. In other words, of the entire league, they're just about in the middle, right?
32 teams.
Yeah.
16 is right there in the middle.
And they're ranked as positive 14, which means there's a bunch of teams in the negative. And they're close.
They're closer to that negative group
than they are to the positive group.
As a matter of fact, you won't see the Eagles on there. Number one, they didn't clinch anything.
Right.
But as last that I checked, the Eagles are still negative net points.
Okay.
We'll talk about how Foles could impact that because, again, I always say when you change quarterbacks, sometimes you can watch the change in the net points you can begin to see can happen. But most of his wins haven't been by big margins. So there hasn't been any big changes. So 14 for the Cowboys at 14 net points. Now, again, relative to the Saints, which are number one in net points, you see the relative strength of that team and what they have accomplished so far. Right. 170 for the Saints, 14 for the Cowboys. Texans, 69. Okay. Interesting. We all question the Patriots. The reason they're questioning the Patriots because you and I know generally at this time of year over the past few years, the Patriots were in the top three.
Right. They would have home field advantage clinched by now.
in most cases. They're just below the Seahawks, ironically, with 76. The Seahawks, my sleeper team for the season, hanging in there in the top 10, having clinched what's that?
Playoff spot.
Clinched the playoff spot, okay. Right. And I said to you, for the Seahawks, it's going to be a bit difficult because more than likely the Rams are going to win the division.
The Rams have clinched the division.
So that means you have to be pretty strong to have beat out some of the other teams,
right,
to be the second team in the division,
right,
and have clinched a playoff spot. So
right,
that's what I'm saying. So now these are some of the teams that we talked about being a little more, maybe more balanced. Let's see as we go up from there. So we got the Seahawks, Chargers at 85. Okay, they've clinched. So the seedings and stuff are gonna finish out after this week's games. We'll talk about that on the matchup show. But Chargers, anything you want to say about them?
Not really.
Okay. So that
they clinched the playoff spot. The Chiefs have clinched the division. Nothing much can change for them.
I want to point out the number 5, because again, top 5 is what this show is all about. And we want to make sure we give some love to the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens are in the 3-digit range now. And I heard somebody say something. We talk about Lamar, and I have this whole thing about the athletic running quarterbacks. But one guy said something. He said, I don't know if you can do this with Lamar as a long-term strategy, but you can sure go the next 3 or 4 games to the Super Bowl like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because nobody has an answer for him yet. Nobody has shown that they have an answer for him. There is no blueprint yet.
And the defense is playing. We'll talk about defense. So then we get to the Chiefs. And one of the things we'll talk about with the Chiefs is how amazing the fact that they're there right now. We know about their scoring, but we know about their defense. We're going to talk about why that they're there. Speaking of somewhat balance, again, defense, offense that can control the ball, can run the ball.
Yes.
We still got some questions, but the Bears are right there, and they've been there pretty much consistently up in the top 5 at the very least. Maybe they fell out in one category.
Yeah, maybe to 6, and then they pop right back in. I'm pretty sure the Bears have been in the top 5 in almost every category, if not every category, for the majority of the season.
And again, the point that we're trying to make is that it's not just coincidence that the teams with the best net points have clinched.
Right.
That's not. I mean,
absolutely.
That's showing you who's the bully on the block.
Right.
By quantitatively, And so the Saints, the Rams, okay, they've been bullies on the block. The Bears, the Chiefs, okay. Now the Ravens have stepped up into the top 5. The Chargers are still the Chargers. You look at them at 6 and you say, really? Are y'all really ready to win the Super Bowl? When you look at them like that. Patriots, you ask that same question, but this is Tom Brady who's actually done it, so it makes it a little bit different. The Colts with Andrew Luck, I'm hearing people say they'd be afraid to have to play them right now.
They're kind of the hot team. I thought Houston was going to be the hot team. I thought the Texans, but their win streak came to an end, and now all of a sudden they're looking real vulnerable. But the Colts are picking up momentum at the right time. They could be scary if they get in. I don't know if they have a chance. I believe they're still in the hunt.
Steelers, okay. See me,
they're the opposite. They're the opposite of the Colts. They're running coals, and they're acting like a really good team that just doesn't have it at the end when
they're always just one play off of winning, though. It's amazing. The thing with you two, you catch that ball, they're in striking distance. They're the whole game can look different. He catches the ball and don't fumble it. Gets down on the goal line and throws an interception. It's just that one play. Yeah. It's absolutely amazing. Vikings. What can I say about the Vikings? The defense is coming on, still in it, and there's the Kirk Cousins question. Titans. Mariota
still in it and have an opportunity to clinch their division.
but he is hurt.
Mariota's banged up, yeah.
He's banged up.
Look, they've played themselves into a position to not only make the playoffs, but to also win the division. They did what they had to do, and Houston slipped up here and there, and now this is the point that they're at. So I'm not counting the Titans out. Can't do it.
The Texans lost to the Eagles, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I have a problem with that.
I think that game may have put it away for them. That probably would have won the division for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. The Titans did just enough to get in position where if Houston slipped up, they could still not only make the playoffs, which I'm sure was their main goal, but now they can win the division. Comes down to this week.
Points for, that's what PF stands for. And so again, you get an opportunity to see where everybody comes in relative to scoring in the NFL in 2018. Obviously in first place, and again, look at the letters. So many of these teams have that letter because they can put up points. You know, I wanted to include all the playoff teams. So you'll notice again, Cowboys, we talked about the NFC Leafs, right? Scoring, they're in 24th place in scoring, Cowboys. It's funny, a lot of times when I'm listening to the media and they're talking about the Cowboys, it's like, yeah, you know, if they do this and they can do that, you know, and I'm thinking, you know,
They don't score.
they don't score. That's not, you know, that's not their nature. But some teams are finding a slightly different identity now. Some teams are saying, you know, I'm saying that, you know, and it's almost on the negative side relative to some of the top teams because they're losing down the stretch, you know. But in terms of point scoring, Chiefs 530, only team in the 500 range. You know, that is an amazing accomplishment for Mr. Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback of that, you know, of that offense. The veteran, you know, at 490, not far off. Another young guy, quarterback for the Rams at 479. A veteran, 412 for the Steelers. Chargers, a veteran, 405. Seahawks. What do you call Russell? A veteran?
I think he's a veteran.
He's a veteran.
Been to 2 Super Bowls.
Been to 2 Super Bowls. But he ain't been around like Roethlisberger or...
No, absolutely not. But he's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's been in the league for more than 3 years. He's passed his rookie contract. He's a veteran.
He's a vet.
He's been starting. He will continue to be starting.
We have to come up with words to describe those old vets versus the new vets. We'll worry about that later.
You know, I worry about that. Russell's the only one.
400. Well, look, Andrew Luck. 400 points scored. Coming back off of injury. Throwing the baby ball in the preseason. Patriots. Old venerated. Ventilated. Bears, young guy. Still runs too much for me. Texans. Houston. Young guy. He ain't even off his rookie contract.
He's
Deshaun Watson, baby.
It's considered a young up-and-comer. Mahomes, Goff, like we said, Russell's in the middle there. Luck, Trubisky, Watson, and how about Dak?
Dak? Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Dak. Would you
Okay.
He's still on his rookie contract, though, right?
I'm not sure.
He ain't got the big bucks, but he's coming up on the puck.
So all of these, there's a lot of young guys leading some good teams into the playoffs.
You know, you look at this 24 and you think about the leadership for the Cowboys early in the season when it was like, we don't need a top receiver. Remember that?
Yeah, well, you know.
It seems a long time ago,
He
but
made a mistake.
no, but what I'm saying is the lack of point production right now, you know, really keeping them at the bottom of the.
I understand what you're saying, but you got to remember, first of all, you're talking about Jerry Jones made the statement, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you got to understand Jerry Jones. He thinks he can speak stuff into existence. He thinks if he believes hard enough that they don't need a number one receiver, that they'll be okay. He's banking on his defense. He's banking on Zeke. And he's banking on Dak to be a game manager. Well, but somewhere along the line, he realized, you know what? I might have been wrong. And on top of that, they're just going to hand me this guy. I'll take it.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying it kept their point production down when you look at it over the season. Their point production probably with Amari there now has changed.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? They might be further down than 24th without Amari. I don't know.
But these guys, these people weren't
available where they are now
at
24th. I'm just saying, at 24th, you would think, if he had been successful in what he said, and they actually were able to operate at a high efficiency level with those starting people, he might be up in the 400 range. But because it didn't work out early on, overall, since this is overall.
He didn't have a number one.
I'm saying, but that kept their point production down over the season. That's all.
Right. So I think he was more or less saying, we don't need a number one receiver to win. He doesn't care if he has high point production or not if they're winning.
Well, whether you care or not, it wasn't there.
They won.
Down at 24.
They won.
They won enough.
So that's all he wants to do. He just wants to win.
They won enough.
He don't care where he's ranked. He just wants to win. He wants to win the division, beat the Eagles, go to the Super Bowl in that order.
Texans at 10, 382. Bears at 397. So Mitchell Trubisky is right up there. He's not off. He's 1 point scored off of the GOAT, right? And Patriots, Brady, and points for. Luck is ahead of Brady also. Wilson's ahead of them also. Now we got your boy from Phil from the Chargers, 405. Still is a scoring. You see that they're in the top 5 in scoring, and yet they're, really struggling the way they are.
Hanging on by a thread and have a good chance not to make the playoffs.
And then you have your Rams, Saints, and Chiefs who pretty much locked it in. And so if you look at the top 10, right, you only have 2 teams in there who haven't locked up something when it comes to scoring, and that is the Steelers and the Colts. So some stuff is going to come out of this weekend, right? That's really going to affect those 2 teams.
And you also know that the Steelers and the Colts can both score, and they're both in the AFC. They both haven't clinched anything yet. They may be vying for a spot. Absolutely. So what's going to be the difference?
Oh, they're definitely vying for a spot.
So what's going to be the difference between the team that gets it, who can score, and the team that doesn't get it, who can score?
Well, that's all those scenarios, right? I mean, who wins and then who loses, and then adds in, multiply it by 3, divide it, You want to go to points again.
Yes.
Now, there are a lot of teams, or there's a lot of slots on this points against charts. But that's because, again, I was looking to make sure I included all the teams who were in the playoffs, who had clinched some level of a playoff spot. Okay? So, we talked about the Chiefs, and we talked about them being the number 1 scoring team in the league.
Right.
Now on defense, they're the 29th ranked defense, having given up 416 points. Again, let's compare that to your number 1 team, the Ravens, for a reference situation. 263. Okay, so you're looking at a defense that's given up a lot of points. Now, if you go one step above, you jump from 29th place to 17th place. I go consecutively to 1 from 17. But I had to jump all the way down to 29th to include the Chiefs,
right?
Because they were in the playoffs. So it was really interesting to have that number 1 offense
and darn near the last place
defense. And what I mentioned to you, as we talked about Patrick Mahomes, like to me, that kind of argues for him as being MVP. Because he can say, we did what we did with the worst defense, right? You know, in terms of giving up points.
Yeah, they clearly, by far, have the worst points against defense of any team that's even eligible for the playoffs, let alone clinch the spot.
You're pretty much right about that, because there's some a lot of eligible teams, or teams that haven't clinched anything that things could work their way and they could be in there. So we're looking at those as we go up from 7. Well, let's look at their buddies. They're only slightly better. The Rams. Now, I thought the Rams at the beginning of the season, excuse me for thinking, we're going to have like a top 3 defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was going to be
on paper, it looked like it was headed that way. I hear you, bro. I hear you. They grabbed 2 top-notch shutdown corners, supposedly. Number 1 draft picks along the front line, along the front 7, like crazy. It was, yeah. Well, the game started.
You know, it's crazy. I mean, we was on paper. We were like, how can they lose? I mean,
you know what I think they're thinking is, and I may have heard this, or I don't know if I concocted this in my own head or not, because I've been taking in so much freaking football information because this season's been so crazy. But it seems like they figured if we can get, talking about in the draft, not just free agency, but especially in the draft,
the
Rams.
The Rams.
The best. If we can get our hands on the best pass rushers year after year after year and stock our line with number 1 pass rushers, we're not even going to worry about the run. We just going to bomb you. Because they knew they were loaded on up. It's almost like they were saying, we're going to build our team to play from ahead all the time. It works for them a lot.
Well, I mean, they're up there in net points.
But when they're in a tough game,
in net points.
They can't stop the run. Aaron Donald's not a run stopper. You can call him MVP candidate and all that you want.
And who's the guy right next to him?
And Dominican Sue, I think he's washed up. Don't tell anybody I said that. It's just between us. Dominican Sue's washed up. He's done. I've watched.
I think he stole
good
money.
Parts. He did steal money.
He stole money.
I watched good parts because I watched, the last 3 games of the Rams. I don't remember his name being called.
The only thing I saw about Dominican Sue lately is that apparently, for whatever reason, he stuck his finger all in, what you call him, the Cardinals. What's his name? I'm thinking of
something dirty, and that's what he's normally.
But
he's known.
Legend, Larry Legend. It was Larry Fitzgerald, right? And Larry Fitzgerald said, "Oh, it's nothing. We're friends. He was just playing around," and he put it at that.
Oh, okay.
But that's all I've seen about him. Now, whether that's true, whether that's not, I don't know.
Right, but his resume is full of stomped on.
Yeah. You know, it's stuff. And like I always said, the thing about him is he's like, who? What? Me?
Yeah, right.
You know, he admits to nothing. Yeah. I mean, the 100 million people just saw what you did.
Yeah.
And you admitted to nothing.
I think nasty guy, man, but being mean and nasty is not good enough. That's not good enough. You can't do anything illegal to anybody if you can't catch him. You can't get your hands on him. He tackles no one. I real fast have to look up if he has any sacks. I just don't hear his name called.
So they're bringing it up at 17. So now you've got a slate of teams who haven't actually clinched anything yet, ahead of both the Rams in terms of defense. Now the Eagles at 16, we know they've had problems on defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I actually had the feeling that the defensive unit was starting to kind of come together a little bit. Number one, the defensive line is beginning to dominate. They can dominate a game. Their defensive line.
That's the strength of their defense.
And they got Michael from the Seattle. Right. Michael Robinson.
Bennett.
Michael Bennett, right. Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett's on the tear right about now.
Yeah, he's playing well.
Have you seen his shoulder pads?
Yeah, they're the same kind of
like, I think. You wore them little teeny things?
No,
like
actually,
that?
I didn't. They look like Little League shoulder pads.
Right.
I meant to say.
Yeah, it's hilarious. He's hilarious. Steelers, okay, points against, right above there. Washington, who's, we know that they're not. We thought that they might win the division at one point, but the bad luck just kept coming at them at quarterback. And again, Josh Johnson, I believe, is still manning the ship for them at this particular point.
They got nothing else. He's the only positive thing they got going for them at the quarterback position.
I was surprised. I thought he competed pretty well for a guy who's been, how long has he been out of football now?
Well, he hasn't been out of football. He just doesn't have game action.
Well, yeah, okay. So when I looked him up, right, and so Josh Johnson has played for like 12 different teams over a 10-year period.
He's been employed by.
It's absolutely amazing, and that ranges from practice squad on through to the regular 53.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And came in the combine. You know what he ran?
4 something, I'm sure.
4.4.
Okay. That's running back speed.
I know.
Receiver speed.
Yeah, he ran a 4.4. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting now that he's back he's getting this opportunity in a league where running quarterbacks are kind of all around a little bit. You can do a few different things.
Kudos for him for hanging in there and not saying, hey, you know what? I'll play some wide receiver.
But even that, just to have that career, type of a career where your existence was constantly dubious. when you're in the practice squad,
he's being employed and paid by teams because he's an insurance policy.
But I'm saying, when you're on the practice squad, you're that far away from not being on any squad.
Yeah, but I don't think he was on practice squads for lengths of time for anybody.
Well, he was on there for my Niners, as a matter of fact.
Okay, but the other teams, he was a backup.
Okay, all right. So he was.
When you're in the practice squad, you're not really a backup.
Right.
You're like you said, you're
one step.
Right.
You get paid, nice money.
Right.
Nice money.
Right, but you're a serious emergency break glass.
Right. Exactly. Where was he at then? Where did they pull him from then?
I don't know exactly, but he played games
this season
for Buffalo. No, not this season.
Okay, so he hasn't played anywhere this season.
He hasn't played
Did
anywhere.
he play anywhere last season? Did you know of? So in his role, wherever he was, practice squad or second string, he really wasn't getting any run.
No.
Bottom line.
No.
But okay. But he came in. I thought he competed really well. Washington. They're going to be snake bit till they change the name. Colts, Broncos. Okay. They're in that range of potentially being able to get in. Are Broncos out yet?
I'm pretty sure the Broncos are out. The Broncos be sitting at 12. Don't let that fool you. Kind of like Washington. In the beginning of the season, they were playing really, really well. And then an injury here, something else there. And the next thing you know, they're dropping. A team like the Colts, you might say, well, they're only 13. But if you ask me which defense is playing better right now, I'd say the Colts. They're ascending. Those other teams are dropping.
In the next 11, 10, 9, and 8, you got a slate of teams who clinched something. They all got letters by their names. Starting with the Seahawks at 11. Okay, Seahawks were a little higher than that before, weren't they?
No.
I think they gave up a lot of points to the Chiefs, but they won.
Okay, that's one game.
That might have pushed them down, okay?
Maybe just one.
I thought, okay. Well, in any event, Seahawks, Patriots right above. I think we've been kind of talking bad about the Patriots' defense, have we? As we should. Well, but they're 10th. They're 10th, so they ain't bad. They're right behind the 9 Saints, okay, who are right behind the Chargers, who are behind the Vikings, as a matter of fact. So here we got your top 5 after you got your Texans. The Chargers and your Texans, again, they're in. But in your top 5, 3 of the top 5 on defense haven't clinched a thing. Now, your Jaguars ain't going to clinch. They're done. Cowboys are in. Bears are in. Maybe it's a matter of seeding. Titans are still questionable. And the Ravens, what do the Ravens have to do? They got to win to get in?
The Titans should have a mark by their name. I think we missed that.
That might be okay.
But because they clinched a playoff spot. So, but when we're just talking about defense,
you sure about that?
Yes. No, I'm not. I keep mixing up Titans and Texans.
Texans.
That's my fault. The Titans still have a shot. I believe
Mariota and the boys,
I know
they
they need
gotta
a win. I don't know if they're dependent on anybody else to lose, but I think all they have to do is win.
In a lot of cases, if you win, all those other scenarios are unquestionable. The Mariota's coming in with something akin to a stinger.
He's been playing with that mess all year, though.
Well,
Not gonna. If he can lift his arm, he'll play.
is that his throwing arm?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's his arm.
That ain't good.
No, it's not.
He looked like Cam. Cam walked back and did
That was the
this.
shoulder. That was the shoulder.
That
Not much.
the stinger runs from your neck all down, so it
Well,
might
if
include
all he has is
the
a stinger, he's lucky.
You have a stinger?
Yes.
I've had stingers too. Man.
Yes.
Stingers can mess
It
you
goes
up.
dead.
Yeah.
Your arm goes dead.
Yeah.
It usually comes back. If it doesn't come back, it's not a stinger.
It took a while for mine to come back. I was out. I was hurting. I was crying.
You had more than a
Jaguars at 5, Cowboys at 4. We got two teams that are in the top 5. These are the only two teams who have clinched anything and were in the top 5 in terms of points against. The interesting two teams, Cowboys and Bears, both NFC, so neither one of them can make it all the way to the Super Bowl. Somebody will have to drop off that list. Titans, with the big question mark, again, as we just talked about. And here we are, probably the team that everyone is at the blackboard trying to figure out what are we going to do about these guys. Defensively, the Ravens at 263. And as you said before, Ravens probably the only team who won the Super Bowl and quarterback probably didn't score or something like that. They could be back there in that situation.
Actually, I think they're better. They're in a better situation now to Lamar than they were when they had Trent Dilfer. I know that might sound crazy because that team did win the Super Bowl. However, that defense was completely lights out.
Oh, yeah. So I would have to go back and see if their points against was any better, though. Be interesting to take a look. Anyway,
I think what you might find real fast, the difference in that would be turnover differential. I think that older team, that older Ravens team with Ray Lewis that won the Super Bowl was much better in the turnover department. Points against, yes, also, but turnovers would make the difference between those two defenses. This year's Ravens.
Since you asked that question, let's take a look at Todd.
Right, where the Ravens at?
Turnover differential.
Baltimore. You see him anywhere? Anyone? Bueller?
Wait a minute. Went down as far as all the teams who were in the playoffs and finished the spot, and they're not there.
Right, which means they're
switched.
pretty far down. I want to say.
Well, look at that. 23rd.
Oh my
They're
God.
-5 and turned it. Now remember.
So we're not saying they're the number one defense. We're saying they're number one.
They had some issues. They had some issues in the conversion to Lamar Jackson.
What's that got to do with them turning the ball, getting turnovers, takeaways?
Well, those were the issues. They were turning over the
They
ball.
had those issues when Flacco was playing.
Well, it kept up, especially through the first part of Lamar. He's not turning the ball over as much now. I think he.
I see. So you're looking at it from the other end because they're not turning the ball over offensively. Therefore, their turnover differential is not as good. That is what you're saying.
I don't think that's what I'm saying.
Well, why?
What
Tell
I'm
me
saying,
why their turnover differential.
What I'm saying, they're
is
low,
so low
right now because you said they had issues with Flacco, right?
Okay.
Giving up too many turnovers.
Okay.
Differential going.
Well, I didn't really say that because I don't know.
Okay, I thought that's what you said, but I'm saying that when they converted over to Lamar in the beginning, there was some turnovers that happened. Offensively.
Baltimore giveaways.
Right.
Okay.
Their giveaways kind of went up a little bit.
Okay.
Right. And they probably weren't taking them.
Their
You
differential
said
down.
like they don't think they're taking away the ball today like they
Right.
used to.
Right.
So it pushed them down on the differential.
Okay, but I don't remember them having that many.
Well, they're only
down to 23rd.
Yeah, but
They're the number
23rd,
one
they're only
defense in
-5.
points against, though. But they're number one in points against.
They're only -5.
Okay.
as opposed to, let's look at my Niners, minus 21.
So how
So they
high
weren't
you
that
are
bad.
in turnover differential is not, that's important.
Well, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying these are 17-game numbers. So I'm just saying that through the 17 games, they had some issues, which I think pulled them down.
They don't get takeaways.
But I think, right, if they're not getting a lot of takeaways, but then again, if they're doing that many more giveaways, now they're negative and they're down. But I think that Lamar and that whole giveaway scenario has improved,
Okay.
as they're going into this part of the playoffs. He's not giving away the ball as much, and he's throwing the ball with a little more confidence.
Okay.
So the interceptions as well as the fumbles and all of that, I think, are lower,
Okay.
which kind of is good for the Raiders. Anywho, where were we? So turnover differential, we talked about why the Raiders were so low. But LA Chargers at 17th. We had to go down to 17th place. Indianapolis, Green Bay, Atlanta, Dallas, Giants. I don't know why we went down there. I think I just did all the positives. Did I?
Yeah, that's what you did.
That's what I did.
You did all the positives. So there are some playoff teams that are not on this list because they're in the negative and just didn't take it down.
As I look down in the negative, I don't see any playoff teams.
You're absolutely right. So you're safe there. There are some in the hunt teams, but they're not.
Right.
Just real quick, I just went to week 3 statistics. Guess where Baltimore is in turnout differential? 23rd. Same spot.
Week 3.
Week 3.
What was the number?
-1.
-1. Now see, you gotta remember something. As you look down the number, the range is kind of close.
Yeah, I know.
So you can
they're
be
+1. They're +1. They're +1.
just
right?
a one, two off.
From
You can,
being-
the
from being-
zeros are all the way down in 15. People are broke even.
Okay.
So just
So if you
-1
go
is not that
+1,
bad.
you're going to end up being between 13 and 16.
At +1,
Basically.
you're up here. Yeah.
Yeah, between 11th and...
They're -1. It's a little early. 1 ain't that bad. If it's game
Early for what?
If it's week 3 and they're only -1, then you can fix that.
But now it's week 17 and they're still
They're
-1.
-5, right? Like I
Minus-
said, they're -5 now. They had some additional challenges, especially when they converted over to Lamar.
They don't take the ball away, so don't blame it on Lamar.
No, this is giveaways and takeaways.
I understand that. I'm saying Lamar has nothing to do with it.
Yes, he does.
His number of giveaways is not large enough for them to stay down there like that. They're not taking the ball away. They need to make the difference for the team to be better. They need to make the difference.
Who needs to make the difference?
The defense. They're -5.
If you have one giveaway and one takeaway,
Where are you?
you're at 0.
That's correct.
That's 0.
That's right.
Okay.
If you have
So
one
it's
giveaway, which you're not supposed to
It's
do,
always both.
and 4
It's always
takeaways,
both.
no, it's not. It's the defense's job to get takeaways, and
It's
it's the
a
offensive job to not give up the ball.
But the
So
offense
if-
was giving up the ball.
Not at that great of a clip. They're not turning the ball over. They're not getting
I'll tell you
takeaways.
what we'll do next week.
Okay.
I'll pull out the actual numbers.
Fine.
Giveaways, takeaways, so we can
And
get a better idea.
I got a good idea.
That's where we want to be. If you can find it, find it. This is what we do all the time, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? Anywho, 17 LA Chargers with 1 through 14. So you're looking at Atlanta, Green Bay, Indianapolis Chargers 1. Dallas, Giants, Kansas City. Kansas City is +6. And again, we talk about their defensive line and that disruption that they cause. And I believe that really helped them. And Patrick Mahomes doesn't throw a lot of interceptions and stuff. He actually has thrown more, I think, in the last few games than he had through the first part of the season.
Yes.
You know, so Kansas City, Washington through the Rams at +7. That's the Rams, New England, Washington, all +7. Oh, excuse me, let's throw Denver in there also at +7. So again, defensive teams, and if you look at these teams, you say, okay, you know, what happened with that? You know, defense, lots of takeaways, and that's what you were kind of alluding to. Like you can be in the positive if your defense is taking the ball away a lot.
Right.
But if you're looking at these offenses, the Rams, I don't know about Denver and Miami because you know, if you think about their offenses, I don't know how turnover prone their offenses were, but they're in the positive.
Miami had a lot of takeaways. I just remember that.
Okay. So now you're up in your top 5. New Orleans Saints at 9, tied with the Cleveland Browns at 9. 4-5 is really wouldn't make any difference. They're both tied at that number. And as usual, as I said, they came out the box week 1 +5.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's how your history sticks with you through the whole season when you're looking at net. But you got the Texans at 3, Chicago Bears at 2, and isn't it interesting in turnover differential who's number 1 in that particular scenario? And you talk about defense. Well, here you have a team who went from the Legion of Boom to the Legion of Boom. Who are these guys? You know, but they're
building their own legacy.
Out.
Now, I like these guys. They're
banging people.
Yeah. They're doing their own thing.
They're athletic. They get to the ball. They do all the things that a good defense, and they got a little more size. I don't think we know. We have to take a closer look at all the personalities. Now, who does the linebacker put out? They're all
right.
Huh?
Right.
Right.
Last name is right. So yeah, IGT correct.
That's not what I was thinking about. So
okay.
In any event, defense is banging. And again, Russell Wilson, maybe he's being very judicious and not turning the ball over. He's having a pretty good year. Also, he schooled the young bull Chiefs. You know, I can go dime for dime with you anytime, buddy. You know what I'm saying? I go dime for you anytime. What are you over there calculating?
All right, so through Ravens defense, they have to this point 9 interceptions, 5 fumble recoveries,
14 takeaways.
The Seahawks have 12 interceptions and 12 recovered fumbles.
24.
That's a team that forces turnovers. That's a team that takes the ball away.
That's a game. The Legion of Whom, I don't know who they are, but you know, we're gonna have to get their names. See, the thing is, Ben's in the fantasy. I'm in the Madden, and I'm a Niners fan, so I don't even play with the other teams. I play against them all the time. They pick defenses, so the individuals on defense aren't as important as the defensive unit.
The defense itself.
It's
all about
fantasy.
stats. It's totally stats.
It's fantasy. But on offense, they're very individual oriented because they have to pick their offense.
Right, because each individual gets their own statistical numbers.
So it kind of helps when if people understand, you know, we might not remember every name of set, but on the team basis,
right,
you know, this is really helping us to keep what we're doing and go along with it. So what I'd like to do here, if you have any last words, Mr. Dickerson. Again, we talked about the net point power rankings, which that's what everything that we've talked about has been based on. This is the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. You can find it on Facebook. And we wanted to give you the big picture so that you kind of can graphically get your head around why we think net points are so powerful when you understand it. Number one, as you look to one side, you can see the numbers of teams who are underneath the line. They are negative net points. And again, for most people that you think about it, you don't really realize that at any point in the season, pretty much have to be in the negative. Some teams never climb out. Some teams go serious negative, and generally those teams will be getting that first draft pick.
Yeah, they'll be buying for early picks in the first round.
You know? And then on the other side, you can see graphically, you know, where the strength of the have any last words?
No, I'm good.
You can find us at www.benandbarryonfootball.com. That will take you directly to our YouTube channel. All the videos are there. Please make sure to click the little bell and like it and to get notifications and all of that kind of good stuff. Good stuff? Good stuff. Ben and Barry on Football, Top 5 Show, signing off.